Hey guys, this is Riya Deshwal. You're back on my channel Crux of English, and today we are going to talk about my journey of UGC-NET. So basically, UGC-NET is an exam that is given for assistant professorship or JRF. If you want JRF, that is Junior Research Fellowship, which would give you the fellowship for if you want to go for PhD. Okay, so UGC-NET is a requirement for any assistant professorship. So if you want to go in education as a professor, you need UGC-NET. Okay, I cleared my NET in English literature in 2021. I did my master's MA in English. I finished my master's in October. I gave my paper in December. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to clear JRF in that paper, but I did get UGC-NET in that paper. And after that, the next time I gave UGC-NET, I cleared JRF as well. This is very important for you to not give up. It's very, very important. You know, things happen. You might not be in your best mindset at the moment, because in any examination, in any paper, your competition you set for, there are a lot of things that come into play other than the fact how you have studied. Okay, how you have studied is one part of it, luck is another part of it, and the third part of it is how your psychology is, how you're mentally doing that day, that particular day that you have your exam. Okay, I was on a lack of sleep the day I went for my exam the first time, and I had my center really far and I couldn't really perform that well. I knew that. Okay, but the next time I made sure that I was well rested, I was better prepared. Also, it's very important luck wise, because see, no one can study everything. It's not possible for you to study everything, even if it's a single subject. So what luck comes into play is, where it comes into play is how much of what you have studied comes into the paper. Okay, so it's very important for you to not give up. You have to continue. You have to keep the wheels rolling, and you have to be on the horse all the time, because this is very important for you. This is something that can make and break your life. Okay, so let's talk about the paper first. The paper is of two papers. Everyone knows there's paper 1 and there's paper 2. The paper 1 is consisting of 50 questions that would make 100 marks, and the paper 2 is of 100 questions that would make 200 marks. There is no negative marking, so you can attempt as many questions as you want. The first paper is the general paper. First paper में आपके पास होगा mathematical problems, reading comprehension, environment, ICT, information and communication technology, research methodology, teaching methodologies, all these concepts, also reasoning. Then there is the paper 2, which is subject specific. So today we are going to talk about paper 1 and paper 2 as well, but paper 2 we are going to talk about English literature. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to talk about is paper 1. For paper 1, I honestly did not study more than this book. This is KVS Madan. Everyone knows Madan is the best book you can find out there for paper 1. So if you are preparing for paper 1, just go for this book and study again and again. What is important is that you shouldn't take on a lot every day. Like, just take a little bit every day. If you think that you would get too consumed or too bored by one subject, so what you should do is what I did. I'll tell you that I used to do one part of any one of the topics of paper 1. So for example, today I did a reading comprehension. Next day I would do some mathematical questions. The next day I would take on some of research methodology or higher institutions. I would take a little bit every day. So basically, doing things every day is the key. Consistency is the key. If you would study every day, I am sure you can clear UGC-NET within 6 months. I can promise you that. Okay, then after that, after this book, I actually did this questions. This is just questions, previous year questions of paper 1 UGC-NET. This is also KVS Madan. Okay, I did do both the books. Okay, it's very important for you to do PYQs. Very, very important. So what you should do is, what I did was, I collected all the previous year questions and previous year papers I can find of both paper 1 and paper 2, and I attempted those questions, because आप जब प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस करते हैं तभी आपको पता चलता है कि व्हाट इज़ द ट्रेंड नाउ डेज, व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग नाउ डेज. दो व्हाट आई हैव हर्ड रिसेंटली इज़ कि UGC नेट कहीं से भी उठा के कोई भी क्वेश्चन दे देता है. इट्स ट्रू, बट यू कैन स्टिल फाइंड अ पैटर्न, यू कैन स्टिल फाइंड व्हाट इज़ द मोस्ट रेलिवेंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, when I was giving the paper 2 years in a row, literary theory and literary criticism were the most important part. I can assure you like 40% of my paper was made of literary theory and literary criticism. So it was very, very important to study those. But the pattern might have changed now. So what you need to do is collect the papers backwards and attempt them backwards. So you would do 2023 first, then 22, and go on like that and do all the papers. After a while you'll understand what the pattern is, कहाँ से actually questions पूछे जाते हैं. Because in any competitive exam, what is more important is what you don't need to study than what you need to study. See, हम सबके पास लिमिटेड अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम होता है, 24 घंटे ही होते हैं एक दिन में सबके पास. So what is important is smart study. Smart study is even important than hard work. Smart work is way better. You need to know what are the things that you don't need to focus. So you'll find all the topics that you don't need to focus. Then you can focus more time on the topics that you need to. Okay. If you have a weaker mathematical problems, this is something that a lot of my peers told me. I was not really that sympathetic to the problem because I was never in that circle. I'm very comfortable with my maths, and so it was not that difficult for me. But if you have problems with it, I would suggest go back to the 10th NCERT, just pick it up and just do it once. It's not going to take you more than 15 days. Just go through it once, do all the concepts, go through it, and you would understand that maths is so easy. Okay, now let's talk about the second paper, which is English literature. So there are 10 units. What is really important for you is to have previous year questions and syllabus on your table at all times. You should know at all times that what you need to study and what you don't need to study. So the first I think 4 or 5 units, it's drama, poetry, fiction, non-fiction, short stories. This is British literature. I didn't really study them particularly alag. I just studied the history and then I took it from there. So for history, I did study David Dyches first, but this is a little bit difficult for most people, honestly, and it's a big book. And the language is a little bit complicated for people to understand, but it wasn't for me. So I did study David Dyches first, but if you are someone who's starting, go for Long first. Long is a good book. I would suggest you Long आप पहले पढ़ें and उसके बाद अगर आपको deeper study चाहिए, deeper knowledge चाहिए, this is more factual, honestly. There's another book called Oxford Companion to English Literature. That is also a really good book if you want to study history and you want to begin your journey from there, because I think that's the best way to begin your journey for UGC-NET English Literature. In that book, that's comparatively more factual than both of these, but it's a very big book. So what I did was I studied from its PDF. You can find it online, find your PDF, download it, get it printed or not, it's up to you. It's easier if you don't get it printed. So what I used to do is, for example, I started reading Long, okay, and I was like, I was through this writer and I was like, it's better to just read something. So I would go to my laptop and or my phone, and through the PDF I would just search the name of the writer and everything comes up. You just go through it once, don't bother more than that. But for Long, at least one of these books, history books, one of these, it should be on your tips. You should know everything there is in the book to know. I'm not asking you to learn all of them. You should read 2 at least, but one of them should be on your tips, okay? The next thing that you're going to do is, what I did was, I didn't take up writers particularly alag. What I did was, if I was reading this history book, I would pick up one writer. For example, it starts with Chaucer, right? So if I'm picking up Chaucer, I would find everything I need online of that writer. I would start with Wikipedia. You go to Wikipedia, you can read all the history there, and then you can just read the works that are important works उसमें नीचे Wikipedia में दिए होते हैं, आप उसको पढ़िए, आपको पता चल जाएगा क्या क्या important work है. Then you should always remember, I think this is like really important. I haven't heard a lot of people say this, but आपके लिए बहुत important है आपके MA के notes, MA की books, MA के notes. I think in every college MA English you'll find Chaucer, Canterbury Tales. So Canterbury Tales or Prologue to Canterbury Tales, these are very important books when it comes to Chaucer. So you should have your notes from your MA. That's what I did honestly, and that's why I think it was very easy for me to jump from MA to UGC-NET in that short amount of time, because I had my MA notes. Okay, so I for example, in your MA now you will study all the important writers and their important works. So for example, we're taking Chaucer. I have studied Chaucer's Canterbury Tales in my MA, so it was really important for me. हमने क्या किया, I would take up one writer from this book, I would study the writer from this book, I would study the writer from these, and then I would Google them, and then I would read the Wikipedia page, and if I could find a good YouTube video of it, I would make my own notes. Honestly, everything of mine is written in my notes. Even if I was reading David Deutsch's, I was making notes of David Deutsch's. Okay, it's very important for you. I'm not saying it's important for you, it might not work for you, it worked for me. Something else might work for you. Some people are more prone to listening and then able to learn, so some people prefer making their own audios or videos and then listening to it, so that your brain works that way. Some people are comfortable with just reading, so that is very important for you. Whatever works for you, find that out. Another the next one was language teaching. So for language teaching, I don't think I studied that much. I actually did my MA stuff only. Okay, and so for language teaching, I was talking about language teaching. I didn't study that much, but I can suggest you some book. There's Larson Freeman in the market. It is very good if you want to go for UGC-NET and work on English literature for language teaching. It's a really good book, Larson Freeman. I actually honestly only did previous year questions of language teaching. You can find that online anywhere. Then comes I think then there is literary theory, literary criticism. For literary theory, I think Peter Berry is very popular and it's a very good book. I have studied it myself and it covers almost everything. Then for literary criticism, I would suggest reading Habib. It's a very good book, but it's a very elaborate book. But I studied only through PDFs and printouts. I didn't buy the book, it's very expensive. I got it printed out. It's a very big book, it's like 700-800 pages. But I can honestly tell you, if you study Habib, there isn't a question from literary criticism in any paper that you wouldn't be able to attempt. Professorship or UGC-NET, GATE, any paper English literature, if you read Habib, there is no paper you wouldn't be able to attempt questions from literary criticism. If you are not a fan of Habib because it is a little complicated, then you can go for, if you're not very comfortable with Habib, then you can go for B. Prasad and you can read it. It's a smaller book comparatively, it's more compact. You can read B. Prasad. It depends on how much time you want to give to your preparation, okay, honestly. And honestly, you can find a lot of YouTube channels too where you can find literary criticism and literary theory as well. For other Indian literature, honestly, I didn't use any book. I just studied everything online. I would find the important writers, and then I would just Wikipedia them, and also find a YouTube video, a good YouTube video of that author, and then I would study that particular video. I would not, I mean, there isn't really that good of a book on Indian literature, honestly. That is very compact, would consider everything. Okay, for American, I studied Catherine's book. It's a very good book, you could go for it, and it's very helpful. Other than that, for other literatures, I honestly didn't study anything. I didn't go for any other literature, Canadian, whatever, not my thing, because अगर आप पढ़ोगे भी ना, it's a very elaborate topic and उतनी questions नहीं पूछे जाते हैं. This is why it's important for you to do previous year questions to understand कि questions आते कहाँ से हैं. Otherwise you would waste a lot of your time on studying what's not necessary. Other than that, there is cultural studies. Cultural studies is Pramod K. Nair, everyone knows. So here is my Pramod K. Nair. I just got it photo started. Okay, I didn't buy the book, it's expensive. So this is like my best strategy. I would find the PDFs online or on Telegram. You can find pretty much everything on Telegram nowadays, and you find those books and then you got it printed out. Okay, other than that, there is I think English in India, yeah, right, English in India. For that, I think what is important is for you to know a little bit of history of English in India. So for that, what is important is Wood's Dispatch, Macaulay's Minutes. You can just go and online check what is the important documents that are out there for English in India, and then just study them online. That's what I did. These are like two of the most important things, Wood's Dispatch and Macaulay's Minute, for English in India, because Macaulay was the first person who pushed a lot of English in India. Other than that, there is literary terms. For that, you have to study M.H. Abrams. That's the best book for literary terms. Now that I've suggested you all the books, this is something I want to show you. I don't think I've seen this, people studying this book. This is literally the question Holy Grail for me. It has questions from every. This book literally has questions from every topic. Honestly, there are like thousands and thousands of questions from a particular topic. For example, let me show you. And this is an old edition, honestly. So here is the first chapter. This is Chaucer to Shakespeare. Let me tell you how many questions are there. You would be amazed. There are like thousands and thousands of questions even in literary theory and literary criticism. It's an amazing book, and the questions, their level is really good. So they're like 326 questions from the first chapter. This is very important. This is like my Holy Grail. I study it a lot. So you should find your Holy Grail, I guess, But what is important, in my opinion, is really, really important, is that you need to do your questions too. Questions are very, very important. You need to have your previous year questions at hand. You need to have a good book with a lot of questions, so you can attempt after doing any topic. See, टेस्ट सीरीज में टेस्ट सीरीज कम इनटू प्लेस जब आपका सब कुछ खत्म हो जाता है, बट टिल देन इफ यू अटेम्प्ट टेस्ट सीरीज ना, इट्स जस्ट गोइंग टू बी disheartening for you, because you would feel like I don't know anything, which is actually not good for your own mental health and your preparation for that matter. But I think like what is important for you is to find a good book which has a lot of MCQs, so that you can attempt topic wise questions. This is why I needed this as well. See, what happens is, in previous year questions, the questions are all muddled. You cannot find topic wise questions. But books are important because you can find topic wise questions. You can study one particular topic and then you can attempt the questions from that particular topic, so you would know how much you have learnt and how much you remember, and do you need to go back to the topic, do you need to study more or not. So this is very, very important for you to attempt MCQs. Okay. Other than that, obviously I have started my own YouTube channel and I am teaching different literary theories nowadays, and I would go on to teach all the UGC-NET syllabus of English literature. Other than that, I have my own Telegram channels. study with Riya Deshwal. If you want to find me and talk to me, or just comment down below and I would reply to you. And if you need any kind of help, let me know. Okay, so that was it. And I think like I've given you enough information about UGC-NET English Literature. The next video I'm going to make is of GATE and how to clear GATE in English Literature. I do have GATE as well, and I think a lot of people might not even know that there is GATE in English Literature, which is not a good thing, because GATE is a national level exam which comes in very handy for PhD exams, PhD interviews. If you don't have UGC-NET, you can clear GATE and go through it. In my opinion, GATE is a little bit easier than UGC-NET, because UGC-NET focuses more on factual information rather than subjective. GATE is more subjective comparatively. So it is very important for you to give every national level exam and clear as many exams as possible. And I hope I was able to motivate you. I know you can do it. You can very well do it within 6 months. If you go through everything consistently again and again, I can promise you, you can clear UGC-NET in 6 months. It's very easy. Okay, thank you for watching.